Hi everybody, I'm Andy Knode, and 25 years ago today, the episode Joker's Favor debuted for Batman the Animated Series, September 11th, 1992. So this episode is a fan favorite, and it holds a lot of firsts. And I know if you're already a fan of Batman the Animated Series, you probably think you know all the firsts, but there's a couple that I think will surprise you. I'm excited about this episode. I do have great fond memories of this episode. It was a favorite of mine when I was a kid, and I got my Joker shirt on because it was the first appearance that ever aired of the Joker.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm talking to you, clown. You think you own the whole road? Why, for 2 cents I'd... Huh?
We talked about the Joker a few episodes ago because of Mark Hamill, so you know the story of how he ended up getting the part of the Joker and is considered one of the better Jokers that we've ever seen. It's funny, when I was a kid watching Batman and watching the Joker, I also was watching Star Wars and really enjoyed Star Wars. I had no idea it was Luke Skywalker. It wasn't until I was a little bit older that I finally learned that piece of trivia, and I was blown away. I had no idea, because he truly transforms his voice and transforms into the Joker, and the different levels that he puts in his voice throughout this is just incredible.
Okie dokie.
So our 30-second rundown, I have no idea if I'm going to be able to do it or not, but we're going to do our best. So when an average, everyday guy, Charlie Collins, cuts the Joker off in traffic, the Joker will let him go, but he has to do him one favor some point in the future. 2 years later, the Joker calls Charlie, finds him even though he had changed his identity, and says he now has a favor for him to do, and that is at the banquet that they're going to be honoring Commissioner Gordon at, he wants him to open the door for Harley Quinn to bring in the cake and blow everybody up. But Charlie comes up with a way to signal Batman. Batman comes in, saves the day, and Charlie gets the last laugh. That had to have done it. So close.
Don't stop now, Jimmy. The party's just starting.
So this is a great episode. It's a very inventive plot. I remember even as a kid watching this that it was such a clever device. I like the stories of just a regular guy thrown into the action and has to find his way out.
You called me here just to open a door?
Well, look at the size of that cake, man!
Even though this wasn't the first episode that was produced of the Joker, it was just the first one to air, I like how we just jumped in there. They established that the Joker is a feared criminal, and everybody, and in fact, even when Charlie first sees him, he's fearful and realizes that he cussed the Joker out.
That was the Joker. I cussed out the Joker.
Now, the big thing that people talk about with this episode is this is the first appearance of Harley Quinn. Not just in the animated series, but ever. Harley Quinn was created for Batman the Animated Series and was fully intending on it just being a one-off. They needed some sort of sidekick for the Joker, some henchmen, and they came up with this idea for Harley Quinn and became a fan favorite and was brought into more episodes and eventually leaked her way into the comic books. And now I think she has her own comic book.
Here, here.
And then obviously was a major part of the movie Suicide Squad, played by Margot Robbie. Just incredible. It always just blows me away that the influence that this show had on pop culture. So I guess the story goes, Paul Dini was home sick and happened to stumble upon an episode of Days of Our Lives and saw a dream sequence where Arlene Sorkin was a Harlequin and was dancing around and doing whatever. And he thought that was be a great idea for a character. And then this episode came along with Joker's Favor, and they needed a character, so they created Harley Quinn. And as fate would have it, they were able to get Arlene Sorkin to speak for Harley Quinn in the early episodes. Now, she's since changed voice actors many times, but in this episode, Joker's Favor, it's actually Arlene Sorkin that speaks for her. So kind of a cool full circle story.
Hey, sugar, you want to read me my rights?
You have the right to remain silent.
Ow! Ow!
jerk.
So like I had mentioned before, this episode is known for having a lot of firsts. So you've got the first appearance of the Joker, first appearance ever of Harley Quinn, but this was also the first appearance of Renee Montoya, who was also created for the animated series, who has leaked her way into the comic books and other series. In fact, in this episode, I don't even think that she speaks.
You eating that roll, Montoya?
This is also the first time that you see Batman leave Commissioner Gordon in his office alone without him knowing. That's a staple that has become commonplace in the animated series.
You don't know where I can rent a tux, do you? I hate it when he does that.
And also, this is the first time that you see Batman laugh. And he laughs legitimately, not ironically. He laughs, and he laughs.
Oh, very funny. A million laughs.
Something that I always remembered about this episode, and I don't know why it always stuck out in my mind, but they make two references to how Charlie doesn't like meatloaf. And
Perfect ending to an awful day. Boss turns me down for a raise, a kid needs braces, and Bonnie's making meatloaf for dinner.
and then it's called back to at the end.
Wonder what Bonnie's making for dinner. Right now, anything that tastes great. Even meatloaf.
And I remember even as a kid seeing this, and I always liked meatloaf. And I didn't get that joke. Maybe it was the way my mom made it, but I always liked meatloaf. And I'm fortunate now to be married to a woman that also makes meatloaf really good. So I'm a fan of meatloaf. And I remember, I just remember as a kid noticing that in the episode, and I didn't get it. I didn't know why people were making fun of meatloaf. It's delicious, tasty. A little ketchup, it's good.
But this time, baby, the joke's on you.
So all in all, this is a fun episode, and I do truly mean it. It's fun. It's much lighter than some of the other episodes, and sometimes that's typically the case with the Joker, but there are some darker Joker stories. But I love that this focused on kind of ordinary, run-of-the-mill guy, and Batman even kind of takes a back seat in this episode. He appears to he shows up in Gordon's office to encourage Gordon to go to this banquet, and then ultimately is signaled by Charlie to show up and save the day. But other than that, it really is a story about Charlie and the Joker. So on the list of my favorite episodes so far, I had to put this one kind of in the middle. I put it just above On Leather Wings because I do remember enjoying this one as a kid. It's hard to compare because On Leather Wings is such a dark episode and this is much lighter in tone. I do remember enjoying this episode much more than On Leather Wings, but just not quite good enough to beat out Heart of Ice. But still a solid number 3 so far of my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series. And as always, please leave a comment and let me know if you agree with this assessment of the episode, and if you have any memories of the Joker's favor from when you were growing up. And just as a bonus question, how do you feel about meatloaf? Now, I won't be back again until Thursday. There was a couple of day gap in the airing schedule of that, but I will be back on Thursday with Pretty Poison. In the meantime, please feel free to go back and watch some of the other episodes if you missed any of the previous episodes over the last week or so. Until then, I'm Andy Knode, and I will see you on Thursday. What if my wife's making meatloaf?